Hi everyone, I'm Ellie from Ellie's Exotics and welcome to my reptile room tour. It's been a while guys, it has been a minute. Since the previous video, I have actually left my animal educator job, so a lot of the animals you saw in that video are actually no longer with me. They belong to that company, so I've given them back. That means all the animals in today's video are my own personal pets. They purely belong to me. That means that the enclosures are up to almost the highest standard that they can be, and that I am currently very, very proud of how the reptile room is looking. And I do say reptile room, but we're also going to be meeting quite a few inverts as well. So if that's not for you, then don't worry, I will do all of the inverts at the end of the video if you're not a fan of things like tarantulas, scorpions, or jumping spiders. So let's get right into the reptile room tour and meet some scaly babies. Let's go. Okay, so now we are off the tripod and we're on the floor because we're going to start with the bottom enclosures here. Luckily for us, these two are poking their little heads out so we can have a good look at them. This here is Bicky, and Bicky is my Woma python. Woma pythons come from a variety of habitats in Australia, which makes them a perfect pet if you are an Aussie yourself. Because in Australia, the licensing laws means that you can only keep native species. Bicky is an absolutely phenomenal pet. He is so chilled out and so lovely, and he's always out and about having a look around if I'm in the reptile room. I'm actually heading back to Australia in November to try and find these guys in the wild. So if herping videos are something that you're interested in, then make sure you hit subscribe. Now let's take a look at Bicky's enclosure and see how he's living. So this here is Bicky's enclosure. It is a 4x2x2 wooden vivarium from Provivs, and the size of it right now is absolutely perfect for him. He is just under 4 foot, and I like to give my snakes the ability to fully stretch out in their enclosure, so once he does get bigger, because they can get up to 6 foot, then I'll give him a nice new upgrade. His substrate is topsoil and play sand, and his background is made of expanding foam. For heating and lighting, he has a basking bulb, and he also has a 7% Arcadia shade dweller. Since he has some real plants that are not doing very well, he also has a jungle dawn in there too. I cannot recommend Woma pythons enough. If you were thinking about getting one, absolutely do it. They make such good pets. In fact, I love these guys so much that I am planning on getting Bicky a girlfriend someday and having some baby Bickies running around. I would love to be a Woma python breeder because there aren't enough of them. Now let's head over this way and have a look at Chai, my Dumeril's boa enclosure. Here is Chai. She's just poking her head out of her humid hide at the moment. That is her absolute favorite place to sleep. Dumeril's boas are a species from Madagascar, and they are actually a species that likes it quite a bit drier than the other boas out there. You keep these guys almost a bit like a corn snake, but obviously they get quite a bit bigger, so their care requirements are very easy for the average reptile owner. They're also known for being a super chilled out species because in the wild, the adults actually don't have any natural predators. They can be a little bit snappy or a bit flighty as babies, but that's kind of like any other young boa. As they get older though, it's pretty much guaranteed that they're going to be chilled out. Now let's have a look at Chai's enclosure. So Chai's enclosure is the biggest in the reptile room. It is 4 foot long, 2 foot deep, and 3 foot tall. This is definitely not big enough for an adult Dumeril's boa, and I would love to get her in something that is 7 or even 8 foot long one day, but right now she's still a baby, and I had this enclosure lying around, so I thought I might as well put it to use for a bit until she gets bigger. Her enclosure, just like Bicky's, is fully bioactive, so she's got plants, she's got topsoil and play sand, and she also has isopods and springtails in here. For her heating, she has a basking bulb, a ceramic heat emitter, and for lighting, she has a 7% shade dweller and an Arcadia jungle dawn. Her background is also made of expanding foam, and it's got some lovely ledges for her to bask on, which I have seen her use once. Dumeril's boas are a type of ground boa, and yeah, they weren't lying about that. I have literally seen her climb one time. The rest of the time she is just on the ground. So if you are thinking about getting one, don't bother with the height like I did. Just go for a normal 2-foot tall enclosure. They won't utilize the extra height. Or maybe they will, maybe yours is different. Who knows? But yeah, Chai's enclosure is doing really well. It suits her needs perfectly. She's eating fabulously. She's shedding great. And for a snake with a heart deformity, she is as healthy as she can be. So now we're going to move up from these two enclosures and have a look at these two here. Just like the others, they're both 4 foot long. And they house a couple of cool Colubrids. So let's have a look. In this enclosure here, we most likely won't see him because he's a teeny guy in a big enclosure, is Toast, my Mexican black king snake. Well, I say mine, but he is actually my partner's. He's the one who looks after him, cleans him, things like that, but his enclosure is bioactive anyway, so he doesn't need too much maintenance. I recently did a full build video for this cage, so if you're interested, then go and check that out. The background is made from expanding foam, but we also used a bit of excavator clay to give it that red look, and I think this suits him brilliantly, and it looks a lot like his natural habitat. I said we wouldn't see this guy, but I did speak too soon. If you look right here, Toast is just there. He's just chilling out at the moment though, so I'm gonna leave him be. So we have had Toast since January. It's been a while. I can't believe we've had him for this long, and he has gotten so big. When we first got him, he was honestly about the length of my hand, and now he's about 60 centimeters long. He's about the depth of this cage here. So many people online advise against putting baby king snake, or any baby snake for that matter, into their adult enclosure, but I promise you, they will be absolutely fine. You just have to decorate it as a baby snake enclosure. Don't treat them like an adult. As you can see, he's got lots of little pockets that he can hide away in. He's got lots of tiny hides to make him feel nice and secure. And he has deep substrate if he wants to bury himself as well. If you set it up right, your baby snake will be absolutely fine in their adult enclosure. So that is Toast's enclosure. Let's move over here to Kiki the corn snake. So that there is Kiki the corn snake. She's just hidden underneath her ledge at the moment. She is about 5 or 6 years old now. We don't know her exact age because she was given to me by the company I worked at, the animal handling company, and she did come from a rescue center. But as for Kiki's enclosure, just like the others, she's got topsoil and play sand. She has a basking bowl. She has a 7% Arcadia shade dweller, but she doesn't have a jungle dawn at the moment because her enclosure isn't bioactive. It was bioactive, but then it did awfully whilst I was in Australia for a month, so I just tore it all down, and we're gonna try again in the new year, I think, because as I said, I'm heading back out to Australia. There's no point in setting it up and then it does poorly again. But she doesn't just have these fancy lights, she also has a Faunalux True Chroma lamp, which emits UVA1. This is amazing for snakes like Kiki, who are albino, because they can't see as well, and UVA helps them navigate where their basking spot is. So as you can see, she's tucked away down there, which I didn't really see her do before putting in this bulb. Now she can, you know, see properly, and she can also adjust her body temperature accordingly. But yeah, I think her background looks really nice as well. She also has expanding foam with like all of these ledges and stuff, and she loves to climb on there. Now we are moving up from these enclosures to these right here. When I initially set these up, I really liked them, and now I just think they look a bit boring. Let's start with my Pac-Man frog enclosure. Here is Big Mac himself. I've had him for about a year now, and he is absolutely huge. I'm pretty sure he is actually a female and not a male just because of how big he is. But it's one of those things where I'm just so used to saying he all the time that I forget that he is actually a girl. But Big Mac is a Pikachu Pac-Man frog. That means that he doesn't have many markings on him, and he is obviously bright yellow. And this is about as close as I'm gonna get because this boy will try and rip off my fingers if I get any closer. He is insane. He's crazy. I swear all Pac-Man frogs just collectively share a brain cell. He doesn't know the difference between food and fingers. So yeah. We're not getting any closer. But I mean, even though his enclosure is a bit boring, it's obviously doing its job. It is very bioactive. There is a whole lot of isopods, a whole lot of springtails, and a whole lot of plants. So it's doing its job. It's keeping it nice and clean for him, and it's keeping him nice and healthy. As for lighting, he has a basking bowl, he has a 2.5% shade dweller, and he also has a jungle dawn. For substrate, again, it's topsoil and play sand, but he does have a bit of eco earth as well. There's obviously a drainage layer too, as this is a very humid setup. But anyway, let's close these doors and let's head over this way. So this is one of those boring enclosures that I was talking about. I want to do something super nice for him soon, but this here is Marmite, my Kenyan sandboa's enclosure. It's 45 by 45 and it is the low version. Now he does have UVB, but the bulb is broken. I have literally been having a nightmare with this unit. It just keeps giving me problems. But he also has a halogen basking bulb too. A lot of people keep their Kenyan sandboas on heat mats, but I find overhead heating absolutely crucial for these guys. Kenyan sandboas will burrow to cool themselves down. So if they have their heat coming from the bottom or even the side of the enclosure, they can very easily get burnt. So it's a lot more natural to provide the heating from overhead. You won't see any of my animals on heat mats. All of them, if they need heat, will have basking bulbs. I've had Marmite, my Kenyan sandboa, for over 2 years now, and he hasn't really grown very much, hence why he is still in this size enclosure. But I do want to upgrade him very soon to one of Big Mac's size, the 60 long, just to give him a little bit more space that he can grow into. But anyway, let's close this up and head over to the other reptile wall because we're not going to see him. He spends his whole life underneath the dirt. So this wall behind me is the second reptile room wall. It's where I keep my 3 geckos, but also all of my tarantulas and my inverts and things like that. So it's not purely reptiles. Like I said at the start, we're going to do the inverts at the end. So let's have a look at my geckos. We are going to start on this enclosure here. This is my Crested gecko enclosure, and he's just in this top corner. Oh, he's decided to say hello, and he's like half fired up, half fired down at the moment. So this here is Cheese, my juvenile crested gecko. He has gotten so big. He was only 4 grams when I got him, and there's actually a video on my page of when I first got this little guy, and you can see just how small he is in that. He's gotten so big. Cheese is still as crazy as ever. He definitely has a whole lot of personality, and he's bright yellow. You can see why he's called Cheese. I've had Cheese for about a year now, and he's finally in his big boy enclosure. This enclosure is 45 by 45 by 90, which is a perfect size for an adult crested gecko, and he utilizes every single inch of this space, especially at nighttime when he comes out to hunt for bugs, because Cheese loves his bugs. This enclosure is also fully bioactive. The enclosure itself is from Viperia. If you'd like your own Viperia enclosure, then you can check out the link in the description where you can get your own. Thank you, Viperia, for sending me this enclosure, and thank you to ProRep for giving me a lot of these amazing plants and pieces of cork bark to make this enclosure look beautiful for little Cheese here. Unfortunately, this umbrella plant here though isn't doing very well, because whilst I was away last week, I actually forgot to put the plant light on, so it's looking a little bit sad, but the other plants are doing pretty well. Cheese is really coming out to say hello to us today, and you can see the way he's fired up a little bit better now. How silly does he look? But anyway, let's move on to the next enclosure. So this enclosure here is Honey's enclosure. Honey is my gargoyle gecko, and I got her at the same time as Cheese. Now Honey is super duper shy, and I'm not gonna bother her for the sake of a video, so I'm going to insert some clips of what she looks like. Like a lot of the other enclosures, this is fully bioactive. She's got all of this amazing pothos here. She also has this cute little plant down here that I always forget the name of, so if you do know, then comment down below. And then she also has a rubber tree at the back. Honey is doing brilliantly. In fact, she actually laid some eggs recently, but they were of course infertile because I don't have a boyfriend for her. I have been considering getting a boyfriend for her though. I do think gargoyles are quite underrated, and there's not actually a lot of people breeding them. Plus, her colors are stunning. As for substrate, just like the others, she has topsoil and play sand, and a bit of leaf litter for the cleanup crew to have a nibble on. I forgot to mention what Cheese's lighting was, but it's very similar to Honey's. They both have a 7% Arcadia Shade Dweller and then a plant light, but Honey also has a Faunalux True Chroma lamp, which has been amazing for her. Her colors are insane now. They are crazy. She is super vibrant, bright red. I'd love to get these for all of my New Caledonian geckos eventually, because providing UVA 1 definitely has its benefits for all reptiles, not just the geckos. But yeah, I think this enclosure is quite pretty. I just hate the wood. I hate the wood. I say this all the time. If you're thinking about getting a new Cal gecko, don't get a wooden vivarium. Don't be stupid like me. Get either a PVC or a glass one. I am going to be changing her over pretty soon. It's just if and when I have the time to do the build. But yeah, that is Honey's enclosure. Now let's move up onto the last gecko. So this is the final reptile enclosure. And down here we have Apple. She is my chameleon gecko. Now this enclosure is half quarantine, half not. She's healthy, so she's not on paper towels, but I have yet to move her over to a fully bioactive setup. So this is very basic. I want to give her something really nice, and I will probably give her something even bigger as well. This is the minimum size for a chameleon gecko, which is 30 by 30 by 45, but I want to give her something that's just got a bit more like floor space. I think the height is fine, but I just want to give her a generally bigger enclosure. Here is Apple herself. I really haven't had her very long, but she is so brave. She's always out and about, loves exploring, and they're kind of like having a tiny leechy. Instead of trying to run away or jump, they puff up if they feel threatened. So they make the perfect handling gecko, even though they're really small. So that is all of the reptiles. Now let's get on to the inverts, because there's a lot of those too. We're going to start out with my scorpion, who I got recently from an expo, and his name is Obi-Wan, and he lives with a couple of blue death feigning beetles, so let's check them out. So this here is my scorpion's enclosure, and unfortunately we are not going to see him today. He's usually hidden under one of these logs here, but I believe he is about to molt, so you can see he's like made all of these tunnels, especially at the back, and I believe he's really tucked himself away. And same goes for my blue death feigning beetles. I can literally see one in that teeny tiny tunnel right there. They must all collectively just be living in a tunnel system here. That's a shame, because he is really cool. I'll find some footage of him that I'll insert, because him eating, oh my gosh, it's so fun to watch. But now let's just pop this lid back on. Never mind guys, the scorpion has decided to reveal himself. You can see just how much he needs to molt though. He's gonna tuck himself back away in his burrow though, I'm guessing. And let's move over this way to my carabiner versicolor enclosure. I don't know if you can see that, but her legs are just inside of that hole there. She's absolutely stunning when she does come out, but she is very shy. This is her enclosure though. The snake plant is doing well, but because I feed locusts sometimes, it has been chewed up a little bit. But other than that, it's growing well. And the enclosure came with this plastic top and with the background already built in. So it is perfect for my Sea Versi. I think it looks pretty cool. She's always inside this tunnel and she's webbed it up, and she's got this skull here too and her little water dish. Someone actually recommended siliconing the water dish to the side of the enclosure, and I think I'm going to do that eventually. It's very clever because she never uses it when it's down here. But yeah, she's thriving so much better in this enclosure rather than her cylindrical plastic one. I think it's because the airflow is a little bit better in here, and she just generally has more space to move around. Since doing further research, a lot of people have actually told me that if you give arboreal tarantulas more space, they will actually end up utilizing it. When you keep them in a smaller space, they tend to just hide away all day. And I have 2 arboreal tarantulas. I've given them loads of space, and this is definitely something that I believe to be true. So maybe give your Sea Versi or your avicularia a bigger enclosure than you might think. Now let's close this up and move on to the next tarantula. This is the next enclosure. This is the ProRep Arboreal Tarantula enclosure. We're probably not going to see much of this tarantula because she is tucked away right in there, but this is my Avicularia duranensis M2. She is absolutely stunning, and I did a full video where I set this up. She is loving all of the space, and I'm actually quite glad that she's webbed up in these corners here rather than inside the tunnel, because it means that I can see her a little bit better. But if we move up to here, you can see I have a very cute little lady, and this is Tapioca, my jumping spider. So there is Tapioca, my female jumping spider. She is my last remaining jumping spider, unfortunately. The redback one got stuck in a molt, and Boba, my male jumping spider, he was just old. He was like 1.5 years, almost 2 years old. So he had reached the end of his lifespan. He had exceeded it, to be honest. But Tapioca is still doing really well. I had a few people concerned about her weight. I have started feeding her less, and her abdomen has definitely gotten smaller. This here is her enclosure. It's an 8x8 cube, and it suits her needs perfectly. It's got little climbing areas, places to hide away, and little ledges to sit on too. Now, moving on from this way, we have these two enclosures. I'm gonna get through them pretty quickly because we almost definitely will not see the slings in here. I recently upgraded my Chilean Rose and my Brazilian Black, and I see them every now and then. They're definitely in there, you know, food is disappearing, but they have also disappeared themselves. There is a lot of substrate, and these are very big, and the tarantulas are very small. So yeah, they are just boxes of dirt right now. But if we move down here, we have my Grammostola pulchripes. Her name is Pikachu, and she is just absolutely gorgeous. Look at the color of those legs. She's a fantastic eater, and she's always out and about exploring. That's one thing I love about this species. She has been upgraded recently too to one of these acrylic containers, because I know that the faunariums are not very good for their fangs, so I am moving away from them. The last two animals that you're about to meet are in faunariums, but like I said, I'm transitioning everyone over to proper enclosures, so they won't be in them for very long. But yeah, that's Pikachu. That's Ariel, this is Wednesday, and then this here is Ursula. Let's meet the last two tarantulas. So I've moved Morticia onto the floor just because it's easier to see her, but Morticia is my Brachypelma smithy. How gorgeous is she? Now, she wasn't my first tarantula, but she was the first tarantula that I bought with my own money. The first one I ever had was previous Wednesday, a curly hair tarantula, which was given to me by my old job. But she's the first one that I went out and planned to purchase and research all by myself, and I just love her. She's gotten so big. I got her when she was a teeny tiny sling, and now look at the size of her. She's definitely in need of an upgrade soon, and I'm gonna get her a fancy Exoterra because she is a very active tarantula. She isn't very shy at all. She's always out and about having a nosy at what I'm doing, and she is super fun to feed. But let's pop Morticia's lid back on and we can meet the final tarantula. In here we have Ophelia, and Ophelia is my Brachypelma hamori. She is also a stunning girl, and she is my biggest tarantula. She's like the size of that log there. Now again, I know this setup isn't the best. This is what I was using when she was going to educational shows, so I didn't have to keep moving her in and out of enclosures, but now that I'm not doing that anymore, she will be going into a proper glass enclosure with a lot more space, a lot more burrowing room, and I can't wait to see her display some more natural behaviors and things like that. I think she will love it. But yeah, let's pop the lid back on, leave Ophelia alone because she is going into pre-molt, so she's not the happiest girl at the moment, and let's pop her back on the shelf. And before I go, let's have one final look at the reptile room. We have this wall here, and then we also have this wall here, and all of my equipment is just stored on that top shelf next to Ophelia and Morticia. And that is my reptile room, and tarantula room too. Let me know down in the comments if you have your own reptile room or if you're planning to get your own. I'd love to know what species you keep and what their names are. I'm always looking for cool name suggestions for future animals. I hope you will have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all later. Bye bye.